coming at the studios of Africa Global Radio on the Africa Daily Show. So, the next issue we're looking at today is about assaults on journalists generally, and this is something that has been ongoing, for some years now. And well, we come out protest, and then it dies off. It goes away. Nobody says anything. Nobody actually gets picked up, right? Like these innocent ones. Sometimes how they get picked up and everything. But it happened again last week on Tuesday, May 11, 2021, here in our base Ghana. Operatives of national security arrested and assaulted a City FM, one of the reputable, media houses in our base Ghana, Caleb Kuda, after they found him filming abandoned state-funded vehicles near their office. Now, the operatives subsequently besieged the premises of City FM to arrest another journalist known as Zoe Abu Baidu because Caleb had sent the files to her via WhatsApp. It wasn't just about the arrest, but the molestation he went through in the hands of the national security. Well, one would say that's the place where you'd think you'd be safe, actually, in as much as you've committed a crime. You're not supposed to be subjected, to certain punishment and maltreatment. But then that wasn't the case. And then again, after arresting him, putting him in handcuffs and everything, they also took him all the way to, the premises of where he works, City FM, City TV, and, went again to also arrest the one that he alleged had sent the video or whatever he took, wherever he was supposed not to take the video. So according to them, he sent the video again. After they asked him to delete it, they realized he had sent it to a colleague, and they went there, besieged the premises, fully armed, cocking guns, and went all the way to wherever she was. She actually ran to, her superiors while they were seated, I think taking lunch or something like that. And she was frightened, if you look at the video, shaky. And we couldn't hear what they were saying, but you could tell that she was scared and she had to run. And they were asking. And you should see the way they bulldozed themselves through and demanding to arrest her. Come on, this is a media house, for God's sake. Even if it's not a media house, wherever you find yourself when you are supposed to exercise whatever you need to do legally, at least some courtesy should be made. But that is our discussion for today. Let me start with Hafiz Guru. And of course, it just has to do with a number of other issues that has not been, looked at, which is a broader, scope in terms of this particular discourse. Hafiz.
Barry.
Yeah, this time, I don't know if it's still going to be like the usual way, because we've had a number of CSOs, Occupy Ghana, CDD, and all of that coming out to demand for, an independent investigation into the matter, in as much as national security people are saying they are going to do, internal investigations. With people are finding that, because, nah, man, it's not going to happen. Are we going to see results on this particular issue? But let me start with you.
How are you investigating yourself?
Yeah.
For something you did?
You think you do due diligence in this regard?
Anyway, but this whole issue surrounding Caleb Kuda and Zoe Abu Baidu of City FM.
Right.
I think when the news first broke out, I think it was around 3 p.m. And I wasn't even online then.
Right.
I got home and I had showered and I was about to relax, and I on all the portals I had signed up to, I saw all kinds of conversations coming up surrounding it. I was like, what's going on? Until I decided to check some of the trends and realized this was what was going on.
Right.
And personally, I saw all kinds of takes. Okay. When something is so hot, people can't help it. Immediately people are sharing opinions here and there. Some more passionate than others.
Right.
But personally, when I see stuff like that, I refrain from, sharing my opinion, because, when things happen like that, in the first instance, you don't have all the information.
Right.
And so you're only going with the little you've seen or
heard. Right.
That's
true.
And which might be true or not true eventually. But as information comes up, you see the story
from
starts
various
to change
angles
and everything. And so I had wanted to hold my opinion based on that. But I think, the story has gone
moving
enough
forward,
you can actually say something based on what has been put out there so far. And for me, you see, when I even heard it, my earlier reaction was, well, because when you saw so many of the reports, it was like, okay, he was filming at a national security zone. The first question in my head is, what are you doing at a national security zone?
Right.
Okay, I mean, there are certain zones that are
No-go area.
exactly that are specifically no-go areas for one reason or the other, basically security reasons.
Right.
So why would anybody be filming there? To be specific, but I think, I mean, when the story began unfolding, you realize that, well,
It wasn't
it wasn't even
entirely
it
a
wasn't entirely true.
security.
It wasn't even near the place so much. So there was a lot going on, and you see, I think in all of this, when you look at the conversation surrounding it, you realize the whole situation has changed. It's moved from the what to more of the why. It has moved from the what of the situation. What was he doing there? What was he filming? It seems no one is even talking about that these days. As why. Why was there so much muscle that was shown to pick up a young lady that supposedly had sensitive content on her phone? Why was someone in their custody beating up? I mean, is that standard procedure for their? Is that how they welcome their suspects? Or this is especially reserved for Caleb
that's
in this instance because
yeah.
maybe somebody had it out for him and this was the opportune time to have his pound of flesh. Because I mean, let's take it what Caleb does at City FM. I mean, he's a critic of the government, but he's done that. He's veiled it under comedy, basically. So it's something you realize. Well, some have said, well, maybe somebody had it out for him, and this was just the opportunity to take it out on him, and that was why it happened.
Right.
But you see, because personally, when I was watching it, I was like, watch him recount all that happened in the national security custody. I was like, look, first, you should understand that he wasn't the first journalist that went about asking questions. You can't tell me he was the only one that went about asking questions about what those vehicles were still doing there, even though he had made earlier reports about it. Okay, I'm sure other journalists have come up to ask. And what his situation has done is that it has sent a message, a bigger message, to anyone sniffing around those cars. He's become basically the poster boy of what can actually happen to you if you come asking questions. And if the whole idea of beating him up was to stop all these questions around it, I think mission accomplished. No one is even looking up to take up what exactly it is that he was doing there. The conversation is now, okay, why did they beat him up? Why did they do that? Even when the GJA came out to pass their first comments on it, it was centered around why
did he
or what was he doing there? What was he capturing some of these things?
They later retracted that.
Exactly.
The president did that.
The president and the general secretary. So the conversation has turned it on its head. And for me, I think it's rather unfortunate for a country that largely likes to boast about the fact that about our democratic credentials. This is like taking 10 steps forward and 50 steps backwards. We are making no progress.
Right.
If this is how we treat media men. And of course, yes, I've had people are saying that okay, he wasn't supposed to be there. Why was he capturing such footages at a security zone? And you need to understand something about journalism. That profession has evolved.
Oh yeah, you need to.
Okay, these days you don't just have the traditional media where you'd expect someone to come with accreditation and everything. Sometimes with just a phone and you're standing somewhere, you
pick up something,
a piece of information and it becomes news.
It becomes huge, yeah.
It becomes news. We are all seated here in Ghana and talking about George Floyd.
Yeah.
All thanks to a footage.
Yeah.
Taken by
if it wasn't for that footage, yes. If it wasn't
even though
for
she was
that
told
footage,
to move away to get out,
she rescinded and continued
she
taking.
continued, and it was even admissible as evidence.
As a matter of fact, that's the only one we have looking at all this.
So atmosphere is saying that okay, he was taking pictures of
state vehicles.
State vehicles that he had no business taking. And for me, we really haven't done ourselves favors in terms of making people understand that we really respect the profession. We really understand what journalism is all about. Yes, and it's like on one hand we want you to be upright, cover everything but not everything. Okay, show the good parts only. Okay, how do you uncover the rot in the society when you don't have people going about, trying to do their work without
Work.
any form of
Okay.
intimidation?
Mm.
And that's rather unfortunate.
Mm.
It's rather unfortunate that this had to happen for us to start discussing it. And it was even on the back of us discussing press freedom.
Exactly. Yeah, just mentioned that. Anyway, thank you, Hafiz. And yeah, discussing issues of assaults and journalists right here in our base. Let me get to Epi. And yeah, she talked about it on the good news, where yeah, positive outcomes from CSOs as they are looking at peaceful protests to demand for accountability, independent investigation into the matter, not allowing the national security themselves to actually investigate their own, which of course will bring question mark on whatever outcome they come up with. Yes.
I think in this day and age where we brag and boast
Mm.
about press freedom, this is more like not a stain or a dent, but it's atrocious. It's not something we should actually see happening. For me, the worrying aspect is the fact that it wasn't done by any other party, but by national security. Operatives. The national security itself is, you should feel safe.
Mm.
You should feel safe. But if they are the ones beating you up,
Right.
and to follow up and actually just get the footage, the question is, what about those vehicles do they not want to go out?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say the vehicles are state funded, whose money? Forget even where the money is coming from, but what about it do they not want people to know? Or to do what is there that, deem that the guy had to be beaten up and that they had to follow up and get it back? You have beaten the guy up, which is something you shouldn't have even done in the first place. You have done it. But what about it? Did you have to go back to a media house just to go and get? So it's like you're leaving no trace. So there's something there that people really need to find out. For me, like some of these CSOs are saying, there should be a restructuring. Half of the time, you've had journalists being beaten by security people themselves. So the question is, where do we run to? Who do we run to? Because if the security people who are supposed to keep us safe are the ones beating us, where's the freedom and where's the safety? So I feel an independent body should be set. Just like I read in the good news, they should be set aside too. Because if national security does their investigation and they bring their results, I won't accept.
Well, here is one of those. I believe a number of people out there also, share the same sentiments that should they internally investigate their own, well, a lot of people wouldn't really go by what they come up with. Now, let's talk about, others also advocating for revisiting the recommendations made by the Emil Shots Commission during the Ayahuasca Waste War Gone. Violence. And they actually came up with a report and made some recommendations, but government said they were not going to pick it by disbanding the SWAT division of the, how do you call it, the national security. Guys, just come around and all armed and all dressed in masks and everything.
What are you coming to SWAT?
I think they kind of like remodeled the way you wear a mask. Was it during COVID? It was during COVID, right? Yeah. Before COVID. Oh, so actually they foresaw the future because most of them were in masks. But yeah, people are actually saying the recommendations should really be revisited. And one of those, I think, is by disbanding all of these SWATs units of the police. Because, this is happening to a city, journalist, a reputable media house. What about the average Ghanaian? Nobody knows you.
It's just, how do I even put it? It's sad and it's frightening in a way.
Right.
Because then in your head, you're thinking, who's next? Or then you're thinking, what if one day I say something or I happen to do something and I'm the one who's picked up next? Especially in a country where, like Hafiz said, we're always boasting about how we are democratic and how we allow people to speak their minds and all of that. You look at that and you're like, could it be me? So then it's like, do we speak about the things happening in the country or do we just keep quiet and watch the country go to rust?
Some are thinking that culture of silence is taking place kind of like in an invisible way, but it's there.
It's like they will not tell you not to speak.
Yeah,
but
when
then you
do,
speak and then there are consequences.
Yeah, you become the scapegoat.
And I believe the protest that they're planning on having this Saturday is one that every Ghanaian should
Should
take
join.
part
Yeah,
in.
it's not just
Because journalists
journalists
are
alone.
speaking for
For
the good
them.
of the people.
Yeah, because a taxpayer would want to know why are those cars there,
Why have they been
rotten,
abandoned?
not used.
And
You know
these are cars that are being bought with taxpayers'
exactly.
monies.
If they don't have use, why didn't you use that money to do other stuff?
So just
Because
like
there are
Epi
other
said,
pressing.
what is being hidden? What do they not want us to know?
Well, you can only know when a journalist breaks the story, makes the story known to you.
And these journalists are now being arrested
Yeah,
and they're being beaten
Yeah,
with guns. How do you go to retrieve videos with a gun?
yeah, that's the thing. You just cock the gun and then you just you have arrived.
But like
actually.
whoever is listening
Right,
now, which an average Ghanaian, whoever it is, 80
yeah, you should
years
join.
and above,
you
should join in this protest
it
because
shouldn't be a few
I think
people
all
thing.
of these came after the whole Fix the Nation, Fix the Country campaign
Oh yeah.
started. And if we want answers, if we want things to change,
Okay.
then we should protect the people who are demanding,
For
who are
accountability.
letting us know what is going wrong or what is not happening well
Okay.
in the country.
country.
We should speak up for those people.
All right, thank you. I think we don't really have much time right about now, but thank you guys very much for your submissions. Well, if you have any other thought or take, you can share those with us on Facebook, Africa Global Radio, or on Twitter, AF Global Radio. Use the hashtag the Africa Daily Show.